Oh, yeah, here we go again. Hello, and welcome into Ray on Sports. I am your host, Johnny Ray. In this podcast, we talk all things sports from my own opinion. You may agree or you may disagree, but all I do is ask that you listen. So come on in, buckle up, and let's take this ride. Hello, and welcome again to Ray on Sports. I am your host, Johnny Ray. And we are here live from the the JCR studios in Lancaster, California. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this podcast. I appreciate everybody who listens and everybody who tunes in, everybody who downloads it. If you haven't had a chance to download any of the past episodes, go to Ray on Sports on your Apple devices, on your Androids, your place. I think your I'm sorry. Apple, Amazon, Alexa, tell them to play Ray on Sports and download any old episodes. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I'm trying to get ready for this trip. I'm on my way to Vegas for the weekend, bowling tournament this weekend. And also, I told you guys on my last podcast that I had something new to announce that was coming up. I have a new collaboration coming up, probably starting in 2 weeks. I am starting another podcast. I'm going to be a co-host on a new podcast, a wrestling podcast. Have conversations with the guy that I'm supposed to be doing it with. I'm not going to give any information yet until we get started, but I will let you know. It will be coming soon, within 2 weeks. And basically, it's a wrestling podcast. We're going to talk all things wrestling, inside and outside the ring. And we're mostly going to do right after the PLEs, which are the performing live events. I think that's what they call it, performing live events, PLEs, of the WWE, AEW, or any other wrestling organization that is out there. So I'm excited about this new partnership with this my friend. I've talked to him and had a conversation with him yesterday. We hit it off real well. I think we're going to be good together. We had a nice, maybe an hour and a half conversation about wrestling. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing. But with that being said, let's get into it today. What do we have going on today? Well, the first thing we have NBA wise. Well, let's back up. Let's talk Super Bowl first. Super Bowl, you got the Chiefs. You got the Philadelphia Eagles. What's my pick? I'm picking the Chiefs. I want the Eagles to win, but I'm going to pick the Chiefs. And the reason why I say that is because in sports, you got to understand there's a thing called the face of the league. And right now, Patrick Mahomes is that face of the league. He is that guy that they want to not take over the league, but in the same instance, he is the face of the league right now. He is the person you think of when you think of football, NFL football, because Super Bowl is a champion. Champion of football is always that person, that player, or that team that everybody looks to. Whether you follow the game or not, you can relate that person to that sport. So if you see Patrick Mahomes, it's like, hey, you're Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl champ, Kansas City Chiefs. It relates like that. That goes through in any sport, in NBA, in the NFL, and Major League Baseball, and NHL. You see a person and you go, hey, that's you, and you play, this. Wayne Gretzky played for the LA Kings, and he won a Stanley Cup. So cocky from Wayne Gretzky. You see him on the streets, it's like, oh, Wayne Gretzky, a Stanley Cup winner. In the 80s, you saw Magic Johnson, Lakers, NBA champions, Showtime. That was the face of the league. I'm talking about faces of the league. Baseball, you had, in the days you had Babe Ruth, then you went on to the Matt McGuire, Sammy Sosa thing that was trying to get the face of the league. Then you had Derek Jeter in the Yankees, but then you also had the Dodgers, Kirk Gibson and players like that and famous managers like Tommy Lasorda. So sometimes it could be a face of the league, or sometimes it could be a person of the league. So in most sports, they try to get that face. And I was talking about it with a partner of mine, saying, they've anointed that person the face of the league. Now in basketball and NBA, which I follow a lot and try to keep up on, John Morant was supposed to be the face of the league. I heard a story was reported by Brian Windhorst, who is a reporter for the ESPN, NBA insider, well-known, well-renowned, and I have much respect for him. He put a story out a couple of years ago, maybe last year, I think, when all the John Morant things. If you don't know about John Morant, plays for Memphis Grizzlies, and he had gotten into some trouble. And I think brandished the gun and got us in a lot of trouble. I'm not gonna go over the whole details of it. You can look it up if you want to. John Morant, Memphis Grizzlies. So he was. I'm sorry. Brian Windhorst said John Morant. They've nominated him the face of the league. He said the NBA. Well, he put it like this: the NBA was ready to give the keys to John Morant. That means they wanted him to be the face of the league. And with that being said, I don't blame Ja. I blame the company that he keeps. And listen to me when I tell you this. In any situation you're in, if you're a leader and you're leading some people, be careful of your circle. Make sure you have a closed circle. Make sure you have a small circle. Hey, when Jesus was on the earth, he only had 12. That's all he needed was 12. And he was teaching them as he was going. So it wasn't like there were things they were saying to him. He was saying things to them, teaching them things, and they were saying things, they were giving them opinions back. Well, Master, what about this? And how do you this? I'm not going to get into a Bible trivia about this or a Bible Christian thing about it, but I am Christian, so I'm gonna speak the word because it's my podcast. I can speak how I want to. Like I say, you can agree or disagree, but I'm going to speak my mind. But with that being said, make sure you have right people in your circle. Don't just have knuckleheads in there who are just yes men. One thing at my church, my pastor has an inner circle. And he always says, I don't need a bunch of yes people around me. I need people that's going to be opinionated. I need people that's going to tell me when I'm doing wrong or when I'm going off on left field. So he has those people in the circle. He has that closed circle of people that if he says or does something outside of what he should have been doing, then we're there to pull him back in. And that's my message to anybody in sports entertainment or whatever journey you're in life. If you get up there, make sure you get a close circle of people. Don't let everybody just jump on the boat. If they wasn't riding in the car when you first started, don't let them jump in the car now. They can get in the car and go a short distance with you, but then you got to let them out. But then you got your ride or dies. You got your people that's going to stay with you through thick and thin. That means that the people that's going to stay with you when you're up and when you're down. When you're going off to the left field and when you're going off to the right field, because that's going to be that anchor that's going to pull you back in. So I said all that to say, with John Morant, that's what happened, I believe. This is just my personal opinion. It's probably not factual, but it's my personal opinion that he did not have the right circle around him. And if he would have had the right circle around him, somebody could have said, hey, John, come on, let's go. Or, hey, John, no, let's not do that. Hey, come on. Because he's a young guy. I think he's 21. I think he just turned 21, if I'm not sure, but I'll look it up. But he, John Morant, that's what happened is he had the wrong people around him. And, okay, right now he's 25, I'm sorry. 25, 6'2". Plays for the Memphis Grizzlies. Drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies in 2019. That's the thing about it is he didn't have the right people around him to guide him in the right direction. So they can be in his ear saying, Ja, don't do this outside the court. Don't do this. Because if you see his highlights, and I encourage you to go look at some John Morant highlights of when he posterizing guys, I done seen some dunks he did on some people, and I'm like, oh my God. He did one the other day, maybe a couple of weeks ago. It was the Memphis Grizzlies were playing the San Antonio Spurs, and he dunked on Victor Wembanyama. And they said it wasn't a real play because they had called a foul before he got there, but look at the video. I know it's still out there. Look at the video. The dude got hops. So that's what the NBA saw was like, okay, this is the guy we need to start the league. He was like modern day Michael Jordan, the way he was jumping and dunking, or LeBron James, the way he was moving around and jumping. So they deemed him and was going to give him the keys to the NBA. Now, because of the trouble he got in, now they kind of pulled back, and now they're looking for that face. So that's what I'm talking about, face of your league. In football right now, it's Patrick Mahomes. In basketball right now, the face I say right now is LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant. Second place, I would give it to, oh God, I just saw him from Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum. Then, and that's also in that second tier, I would say Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid. I would put him in that second tier. I would put, who else could I put in? Anthony Edwards, I would put him in that second tier because that's the second tier of players that could be the face of the league. Now, with all that being said, like I said, once you get up there, you have to have people around you, a circle of people around you that's going to tell you when you're wrong and when you're right. You got to have that because once you get a taste of the fame, everybody's coming after you. And it's different now because in my era, we didn't have social media like this. We didn't have podcasts like I'm doing right now. We had newspapers, LA Times. LA Times sports section. That's how I would get my news. Or ESPN radio or AM, I think it's AM 570. Yeah, AM 570 KLAC radio. That's where I would get my sports news from. And plus, and because I was on the West Coast, I only got the West Coast sports, stories. But then ESPN came around, and then we got, a full grasp of the entire sports world. And then, of course, it branched off to, other things and other sports. But what I'm saying is, with all that, you have to, listen to me now when I say this, you have to have people in your corner that's going to help you succeed, whether it's good. I'm going to say not whether it's good or bad, but they'll help you succeed. And the good or bad part about it is that when you're doing wrong, they're still there to help you. When you're down, they're still there to help you. When the team just cuts you, they're still there to help you. That's the kind of people you want around them because those people will say, it's all right. It's good, dude. It's all right. We're gonna work this out. You're going to get it together. This is what we need to do. Come on, let's get started. Those are the kind of people you need around them. You don't need people around you that's going to say, I don't know why they did it to you. I don't understand it. They don't want to, because it's not you. It's them. You're the face. They're not the face. They're behind you, and they're talking, chirping in your ear, telling you stuff, and you're going, yeah. No. Learn how to be the face of the league. Learn how to stay out of trouble. All my young athletes, professional sports athletes, please learn how to stay out of trouble because that trouble will not go away. Even things, and see, the part about it is once you're out there, everybody's coming after you. So anything you've done in your past to get there, and this is to my athletes who haven't made it yet, be careful with the things you do now. First of all, I would say stay rooted and grounded in something. If you're Christian, stay rooted and grounded in your word. Understand your word, stay rooted and grounded in that, and that will lead you to a right, because you will find scriptures, and I'm preaching, but you will find scriptures that will teach you how to be rooted and grounded and teach you how to get people around you that have your best interests at heart. If you are a Christian and you want to know about that, read the book of Proverbs. My pastor just finished a series on there, and I'll plug that too. If there's anybody out there that's listening that is Christian that wants to hear it, you can go to Grace Place Church. I'm sorry, not Grace Place. I'm sorry. You can go to YouTube and type in @GracePlaceAV. And go to our live streams and go to our Bible studies. And it's called the Book of Proverbs. It's a series. If you have this app called Right Now Media, you can go there, and the series is on there. And my pastor is doing, I think it's a 14-week session he did on the Book of Proverbs. If you get a chance, listen to it. But that's another thing. But I wanted to put that out there because I'm not going to hide my Christianity and what I believe in. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell myself out for that. And, you can take it how you want to take it because it's my podcast and I can say what I want to say. That's the way it works in the podcast world. So just to put that out there, for everybody who wants to listen or, things like that. If you didn't get it, if you can't find it, please feel free to hit me up at RayOwnSports0905 @gmail.com. Once again, that's RayOwnSports0905 @gmail.com. If you didn't get that information, then I'll gladly send it to you, or I'll gladly send you a link to that series. So with that being said, what I'm saying is, once you're the face of the league, make sure you're rooted and grounded. Make sure you have a small circle of people. Like I said, Jesus had 12, so I will start with 12. Get you 12 good people that you trust. And if you can trust them, ask. Just say some things that you and listen to their answers. Ask them about certain things and listen to their answers, how they respond to it. And that'll let you know, who you can trust and who you know is in your corner. So I would say do that. Okay, so enough of that. Let's move on. Coaching it in the NFL, the coaching carousel. So coaching carousel, there's been a lot of hires recently. Let me forget. So we were talking last time about the Dallas Cowboys and their coaching carousel and who they would pick for their coach. And they picked Brian Schottenheimer. Now, Brian Schottenheimer, I don't know how he is as a head coach. Never seen him coach. Never heard anything. I know about his dad, Marty. He coached for the Kansas City Chiefs back in the day. I know him. And I know when Marty coached, they were pretty good. But Brian, I don't know. He's been an NFL coordinator. I think he's been a defensive coordinator or assistant for a long time. And Jerry finally gave him the keys. Not really the keys, because with Jerry, you never really get the keys. You get to drive the car. Put it like this. With the Dallas Cowboys, put it like this. With most coaching jobs, you get the keys to the car and get to drive where you want to. If you coach it in Dallas, you get to rent the car and drive it to a certain distance before they have to pull you back in. You know what I mean? If that makes sense to you. You get to rent the car, drive it around a little bit, but you got to bring that car back. But in most other coaches, you get to drive the car, take it where you need to go and do what you need to do. But in Dallas, different story. But, that's neither here nor there. And my Cowboys fans, please don't get mad at me, but it's the truth. Jerry's Jerry. It's Jerry's team. Jerry going to do what he wanted to do with his team. So out of all the coaches that were available out there, he went with Brian Schottenheimer. And like I said, I don't know too much about this guy. Jerry put a statement out and says he told ESPN's Adam Schefter that he ain't Brian no more. He is now known as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, Jerry, whatever. So they didn't do too much searching for a Dallas coach. There was some good names out there, but they didn't. They went two places. They went to two defensive coaches, Leslie Frazier and Robert Saleh. Oh, also Robert Saleh came back to my Niners as our defensive coordinator. Woohoo! Maybe we can get something done this year. But anyway, that's personal. But that's the only thing he's done. Oh, Schottenheimer was their offensive coordinator, along with Kellen Moore. And Kellen Moore right now is in Philadelphia. Excuse me. And they're on their way to the Super Bowl. But that's what Jerry did. Jerry had a conversation with Deion, because they were talking about Deion Sanders going to Dallas. And I'm sure that I can tell you how the conversation went. I wish I was a fly in the room, but I'm going to tell you how the conversation probably went. Hey, Jerry probably said, "Hey, Deion, what you think about coaching?" "Well, Jerry, what you gonna let me do?" "Well, Deion, it is my team, and I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Go Buffaloes." That's all the conversation would have been from me. You ain't gonna let me do what I want to do? I'm good. And see, the problem with that is Jerry Jones, I'm sure he's a wonderful owner, wonderful heart, but Jerry, you got to pull back. You got to let the coach. You got to so I thought about that, and coaching is almost like it's a company. A team is like a company. You have your management department, you have your supervisors, and you have your employees, and you have your owner. So Jerry's the owner, the coach is the manager, the assistant coaches are your supervisors, and your players are your employees. So the employees are only going to do what the supervisor does, and the supervisor is only going to do what the manager does. And the manager has to report to the owner. So I've worked in the field of management and employee. I worked both ways. Management, I've been an employee and a manager and a supervisor. So I can tell you that the point of view from each perspective. As an employee, your supervisor tells you what to do. And if it's within your scope of work, you do it. If it's something outside your scope of work, then you sit down and you have a conversation about it and says, "Hey, why am I doing this outside of my scope of work?" Supervisor side of it is it's handed down from your manager. Your manager is saying, "Look, this is what I need them to do." And so it's your job to go out there and give it to them. So you go to your employees and say, "Hey, this is what we need to do." And they'll say, "Well, why we got to do it?" "This is what my manager told me you need to do." Okay, all right. So, but me, I was a kind of a hands-on kind of supervisor person. So I would go out there and kind of show them. So I would do things and be on the floor and be on the floor and work with them and, get a good repertoire with my employees. But then I learned that doing that can kind of bite you in the end, because you have to distance yourself between supervisor and manager. You got to distance yourself, because if you get too chummy with your employees, there's problems. Especially in this day and age now, there's super big problems. Back in my day, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad. As, like I said, social media changed the game. Everybody's recording, everybody's talking, everybody's saying something. So be careful. But anyway, back to the football side of it. So in football, you have your coach, who's your manager, and you have your assistant coaches, your defensive coordinators, your special team coaches, your tight ends coach, your offensive line coach, your defensive line coach, your defensive end coach, your safety coach. All those are supervisors, and they're disseminating information to employees to tell them what to do and how to do it. And you have to understand, if you're an employee, you have to understand, most of the time employees look at leadership and see what leadership is doing. If leadership ain't doing nothing, they don't want to do nothing. That goes in any profession. It goes in sports profession. It goes in the world profession. It goes in church profession. It goes in any profession. If your leadership is not doing anything, what gives you the umption or that stuff, that thing inside to make you want to do something, because you don't see anybody else doing something, and you don't see them encouraging you to do it by their actions. If their actions are not good, you're not going to do it. I can tell you from a point of view. If you don't see them doing nothing a positive, you're like, I don't want to be here. So with that, that's the Dallas Cowboys situation. I know that was a long tangent, but I love it. I love it because it's opening my eyes to different things. And when I ride around in my car and I'm thinking about these things and I'm listening to different sports affiliates and associates and different shows, and I'm listening to their opinion and I'm giving my own opinion on it, and I'm taking notes. So when I get to do my podcast, I give my opinion on it. So that's my take on it, on coaching. That's the hierarchy of it. You have your owner, you have your manager, you have your supervisor, you have the employees. That's the hierarchy in any sport. In any sport, football, basketball, baseball, that's the hierarchy. So you say, well, no, in hockey we have this. You still have a hierarchy. Owner, manager, supervisor, employees. There's your hierarchy right there, okay? If anybody want to refute that, please hit me up at rayonsports0905@gmail.com. Once again, that's rayonsports0905@gmail.com. Also, if you want to sponsor the show, please hit me up at rayonsports0905@gmail.com. If you have any product, any sports show, anything that you're trying to promote, hit me up. I'll promote it. I have no problem with it, whether I get paid or not. I see it as a blessing and a stepping stone. So if you're out there and you're listening to my podcast and you have something that you want to promote, please let me know. Now, within reason, because I'm not going to just promote anything, but I will promote. Okay? So that's that. I gave you my Super Bowl picks. I think the last thing we'll talk about, I got about like maybe 8, 10, 9 minutes. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy. Now, the Jimmy Butler situation. Jimmy Butler plays for Miami Heat. He's been suspended indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team. So the last report was that he came to practice and they told him he wasn't starting, so he walked out. So they suspended him. So now the conversation is, and this goes back to work. Conversation is, why'd you walk out? If you get to let me ask you this question. If you go to your job and they tell you, we're changing your hours, are you going to walk out? Especially if it's a good paying job and you're guaranteed to get paid, like a guaranteed money, or are you walking out? Nah, I'm staying there. Okay, what hours I need to work? Because what I'm going to do is the hours that you change me to, I'm going to work just as hard so you'll see I'm going to work harder on those hours so you'll see what you're missing on that other shift. So that's what I saw. When I say shifts, I'm talking about like starting and coming off the bench. That's to me. See, I'm trying to put it in the work kind of vocabulary so you kind of understand what I'm talking about. You're starting the game. That's the first shift. Coming off the bench is second shift. Scrubs, that garbage time in the game, garbage time, I would call that graveyard shift because they clean up after everybody else. Okay, so going back to Jimmy. So that's what he was upset about. He was upset that they told him to come off the bench, so he walked out of practice. So now he wants to be traded. He went to Pat Riley and told Pat Riley, I want to be traded. Pat has not yet traded him. The last report I heard is that they're trying to work out a deal with the Phoenix Suns to get him to Phoenix. And I think that's all predicated on Bradley Beal. I'm not sure. I think that's what the last report was, that Bradley Beal has a no trade clause in his contract. So if you have a no trade clause, which means that a team can't trade you unless you approve it. So they can't just say, hey, you're traded tomorrow. And some players get that in their contract, especially later on in their season, because they want to have control over where they go. So I think that's one of the things. But in my opinion, why would I trade for Jimmy Butler? That would be my question to Jimmy. I would say if I was an owner and I was thinking about getting him on my team. Now, mind you, over Jimmy's 14 years, he's been on 4 different teams. He's been on the let me go back, Johnny, go back. I know he's been with the Chicago Bulls. He was with the Miami Heat. Oh God, from Miami, I think he was in Minnesota. Yeah, he was in Minnesota. And there's another team he was with, but he was with 4 teams. Let me see if I can find that last team that he was with. But that's my take on it is, what are you doing? Where are you taking us? Jimmy Butler. Let's see. So, let's see. I'm trying to find out. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy. So I don't know. Let me see. Because I know he's been with other teams. Okay, there it is. So Jimmy Butler, he's with the Chicago Bulls. And from there, he went to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Then he went to the Philadelphia 76ers. And then he went to Miami Heat. In all those situations, if I believe it correctly, Jimmy had an issue. That's why he left in the first place. That's what made him leave. When he was with Chicago, I think maybe it was a money thing and he wanted to go. So they traded him to Minnesota. He got Minnesota, and I think he didn't get along with somebody there, and he left. And so they traded him to Philly. He got to Philly, and he didn't like it there, so they traded him to Miami. So he's in Miami now. I think by the time he got to Miami, he was a free agent and he signed with Miami. So my thing to Jimmy would be, what's your why? And I got this from a friend of mine. She always says that, in any meeting we have, she always says, tell me my why. She always says, and she also says, what's it going to cost me? What does it benefit me, and how much is it going to cost me? So that's be for any NBA owner out there. I would ask Jimmy that. What's the benefit, and how much is it going to cost me? Because Jimmy's thing is, and everybody, give their opinion on, it's Jimmy's fault, it's the Miami Heat's fault, it's Pat Riley's fault. But the bottom line is money. Jimmy signed a 2-year deal for $100 million. He's on the second year of that. He's on the first year of that deal. So which means next year he's owed another 50 million or 52 million. I think the report was 52 million from Miami Heat. So it's not like he's not getting paid. The point is, he wanted an extension from the Miami Heat, and Pat Riley said, no, we're not extending you yet. So Jimmy took it personal and said, okay, well, you probably I don't want to be here. Now, see, what I'm saying to that is, what's your why, Jimmy? Why are you upset because they don't want to pay you right now? I think in Pat's eyes, and this is my personal opinion, Pat might be saying, let me see what you got, Jimmy. Let me see how hard what you got. And I understand, you got your money, you're getting paid, I got that. I understand that. And you want to take care of your body. I got all that. And I'm sure you're the superstar of the team. You're the face of the team. Remember, face of the team. That you're getting more than any scrub player is getting. And you're getting more attention than any scrub player is getting. So you're getting everything you need. So what's your why, Jimmy? That would be my main question if I was an owner thinking about getting Jimmy Butler. What is your why? Why do you want out? Why do you think when you get here? And see, here's my my follow-ups to the why. Why do you want to get out of Miami? And you can tell me whatever you want, but give me the real, because I need to know the real. Why would you act any different here after a couple of years? After we sign you a couple of years? And why? Do you still have that fire inside to play at a championship level? And can you bring us to a championship level, or are you still going to act the same way you've been acting? So that would be my questions to Jimmy Butler, going forward. But we'll see how it all plays out. NBA trade deadline is coming up on February 9th. We'll see what the teams are going to do. And we'll see where Jimmy's going to go. Like I said, the rumors are I think I just had it. Phoenix Suns. Talking about going there, but they might have to involve another team with that. My Los Angeles Lakers are looking at another trade to get another big because Anthony Davis and LeBron James says that all they need is another big, and that will bring us to championship level. I love my team. I love to see them play. It hurts me when they lose. I love it when they win. But yeah, I think that's the only thing they need help with is they need another big for Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis is putting in too much work and he's getting hurt. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But with that being said, that's my take for this week. Thank you guys for listening to Ray on Sports, one of the best sports podcasts out there today. And if you know of another one, please let me know. But I think I have the best one going today because I give my uncut, unbiased opinion, in so many words. But thank you for listening. If you miss any of this episode and you want to catch it, go to Buzzsprout, go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, and also tell your smart speaker to play Ray on Sports, and you get every episode. This is my second season. I think this is my 7th episode, but I'm going strong. And like I said, once again, look out for my new project coming out, my new wrestling podcast. It's not mine. It's a collaboration podcast with this other person. I'm not going to give his name out right now because we haven't started, and I haven't got his permission to promote it yet. But we are starting it this week. I think we're doing our pre-recorded episode this week. I'll be in Vegas this week for my bowling tournament. Woohoo! Hopefully I come out there pretty good. I hope I do pretty good out there. Y'all pray for me that I do pretty good out there. But yeah. So me and him gonna hook up. He's in Ohio. I'm gonna be in Vegas. So we'll hook up via video call or whatever and give our do our thing. And once it gets out there, I'll definitely promote it, and I'll put a link in for you guys to listen to the podcast. You guys let me know what you think of that too. So until next time, this is Johnny Ray for Ray on Sports. Take care and God bless.